Okay, so I will talk about South Africa's past and present, and my PowerPoint just stopped working, so I put together this Word document thing. Okay, so some general data about South Africa. There are over 45 million inhabitants in South Africa, and approximately 90% of the inhabitants are people of color. It is 13 recognized national political parties, and South Africa actually had 3 capitals: Pretoria, Bloemfontein, and Cape Town. And there are 11 official languages spoken. Okay, so to get some backstory on my presentation, I need to talk a little bit about the Khoikhoi, and the Khoikhoi are a tribe, or one of the biggest tribes in South Africa. So Khoi means human in Afrikaan, and directly translated Khoikhoi means humans human. Okay, so the 1600s. In the 1600s, the Dutch people settled in South Africa for the first time and began to colonize and trade with the Khoikhoi at the Cape. By the middle of the century, the first Khoikhoi-Dutch war is fought and slavery is entrenched. The Dutch were known as Boers. In 1653, the slave industry was started, and the 2nd of March, the first slave was sold to Jan van Riebeck. Jan, as you can see in this picture, was a Dutch navigator and a colonial administrator. Many of the Afrikaner population view him as the founding father of their nation. The Afrikaner are a mix of Dutch, German, Belgian, and French people. Throughout the whole of the 1600s, slaves were bought, freed, and mistreated. Okay, so over to the 1700s. For over 20 years, it was some form of peace between the Afrikaners and the natives. But in 1701, the Khoi people raided more than 40 farms, and the Dutch started to take over Khoi's farmland. Slavery was still a big income for the settlers, and they pursued more than they did in the 1600s. The Khoikhoi and the Amaxhosa, which is another big tribe, moves across the Great Fish River, which is in the southeast part of South Africa. They move across the Great Fish River because Afrikaners pushed the natives off their best land and set up their own plantations and farms. Okay, so over to here you can see the Great Fish River and what the farms that the Dutch people set up might have looked like. So over to the 1800s. In the early 1800s, the Britons came to South Africa, and after a few years they discovered gold and diamonds, which brought a lot of people to the country. The tension between the Afrikaners and the British was high, and a war broke out. And in this picture, you can see Afrikaners ready for war between them and the British people. After war, South Africa became a part of the British Empire. Okay, so the 1900s. At the start of the 1900s, black people felt overlooked, and racism was a big problem. The black people created ANC in 1912. ANC stands for African National Congress, and they created this group or Congress in the hope of gaining respect and political power. Okay, over to apartheid. Apartheid was started in 1948. The white leaders of South Africa set up a system they called apartheid, and apartheid made it illegal for different races or ethnic groups to mix. Black people could not go on the same buses as whites, and they had different jobs and they attended different schools. The majority of South Africa, was subdued. Apartheid went on for more than 40 years, and many black people were jailed for their actions. A very famous person that was sent to prison is Nelson Mandela, as you can see in this picture. He fought for black people to have the same rights as white people for over 40 years. After many years of apartheid, the United Nations declared that apartheid was a crime against humanity, and many countries cut off trade with South Africa until apartheid was ended. So apartheid ended in 1991, and the first black president. Okay. And the first black president was elected, and it was Nelson Mandela, who was sent to prison for many years because of his because of apartheid and how he tried to get rid of it. But after he was released, he was elected as the first president. Okay, so in this picture you can see that it says white area, and it's a picture on a beach where only white people were allowed to attend, and the black people were yelled if they came to the beach. Now over to some of the present struggles in South Africa. Well, the black and the white people have the same rights, but somehow the situation has kind of turned. The white people are being oppressed, and the blacks by the black people because they want payback, so to say. And if you're a black man or woman in South Africa, it's much easier to get a job than if you're white. And many people still live in unbearable conditions and are very poor, and the poor people are getting poorer while the rich people are getting richer. This is not only a problem in South Africa but all over the world, and the difference is increasing every day. And that was my presentation about South Africa. Thank you.